What's going on, guys? We are rocking and rolling on the Camaro. The weather is beautiful. This thing is almost ready to drive. Unfortunately, I cannot drive it. Well, I guess I could, but I don't want to drive it without the doors. So I've been putting in work, and I'm going to show you guys how I got to this point of the door. We're about to do the other one. I'll show you guys here. We did a very simple framing. It's not done yet, but I'll work with that. I'll show you guys that. What we're going to end up doing here is I'm going to epoxy. I drilled holes into the door, and we're going to epoxy it right there and there in position. And then I also added metal plates that I epoxied to the side, because we're going to weld a bar from here to here. That's going to be our support bar. Now I need to go ahead and get rocking and rolling on this other side door, so that way I've already pinned the other side door. We talked about possibly pinning those hinges. I guess I'll show you over here. We did just a simple pin and the hinges there to keep the thing down and not from flying up and all that stuff. But I've got to tint this other side window and then go ahead, get it mounted all up, and then figure out where I'm gonna put my support bars. I kind of did it backwards and not necessarily in the best order, but this is the first time I'm ever doing it, so there's gonna be a learning curve. It's really important. I put up a post last night on YouTube, Instagram, everything. You're never gonna be good at something until you're bad at something. So there was really, I didn't see any videos on how to mount these windows. So I just kind of looked at pictures and said, all right, well, I'm going to try to do it and figure it out my way. I couldn't really find any good instructional videos or anything about it. So we just kind of went for it. Now, is it going to work? I hope so. We'll find out. We'll test it and we'll see if there's issues, if there's stuff that's not right, we'll go ahead and fix it. So let's go get ahead and get this other window tinted up. Important note I want to make, because I found this out last night after I posted the pictures. Apparently when you put window tint, like regular car window tint on Lexan, over time the oils come out of the plastic and it ruins the window tint. It's not going to look very good. I may have done a bunch of work that's going to end up looking pretty crappy, but for right now we'll see how it comes out. The other side looks pretty good and I'm not too terribly mad at it. We'll go ahead and get this side done and tint it up. Since I already did the other side, we'll make it match, and then down the road maybe we'll look at buying some, smoked tinted Lexan itself. There's a reason they make that stuff, and I think it's because the issues you have with car tint. So you can do the best job ever, which I've never tinted anything before in my life. This is actually my first time. That window was my first one ever, and then you guys are about to see I'm going to do the next one. No matter how good of a job you do, I think even if you're a pro, the problem ultimately is you're putting it on that plastic, and there's oils in the plastic to bring it out. It is what it is. It's a learning process, Nobody ever knew all of this stuff. I didn't know it, and now I know it, so now I know what to do in the future. I didn't know how to mount a window. I'm not saying it's the best way, and I'm not saying it's the right way, but I looked at pictures and videos, well, just videos of cars, because I said I couldn't find a good instructional video. Try it, see what works, see what doesn't. That's how you're gonna learn. Let's get this thing rocking and rolling, because I would like to start driving this thing around if possible. We need to start driving it around so I can start getting fueling information, and we can go ahead and adjust the fueling in different parts of the throttle and all that. Then we can get in some boost. I also did switch out the wastegates. We had, they were like 14, 15 pound springs in the wastegates, and we went all the way down to like a 2-pound spring. The point there is I want to be able to leave on next to no boost, or no boost if possible, and bring it in. That's going to help us severely in the back half of the track, no preps, the really crappy roads, that kind of stuff. We can always turn it up. If the surface is good, we can always be like, all right, well, we're going to leave on 10 pounds or 15 pounds or whatever the case may be. But we can't go down any further without the smaller wastegate springs in. So I went ahead and did that, and that's all good to go. Alternator, we fixed the alternator, right? After many alternators, third alternator was the winner. I will show you guys this because it will save a lot of headache, I feel like, for you guys if you ever run in this situation. A lot of people asked about the wire. Yes, you have to have a wire with a resistor in it. I had this extra one that came, well, it wasn't extra, but that one I pulled out of the Nova because I know it had worked before, just to make sure that the resistor in this line wasn't bad. Ended up getting an alternator from my buddy from the junkyard. That one didn't work out. The one we had on it didn't work out, so I went and bought a new alternator, which in order to fit in this frame rail had to be the 105 amp small Silverado one. So shout out, somebody online told me, hey, that's the one you need. That one's got the small body. Well, when we put it all on, it just still wasn't working. What I found is that I added this ground wire here to the head, and that solved all of our problems. So if you guys got one of these super fancy, expensive alternator brackets that's got the anodizing on it, I'm sure there's a couple ways you could do it. You could probably sand off all that anodizing and everything, and then even still, I feel like there isn't enough meat in the bracket to make it work. I did sand down some of the anodizing in different spots where it made contact, but ultimately adding that ground wire brought us back up above 13 volts. I want to say it's like 13.6, 13.7 with everything on. So the fans, the fuel pump, I mean everything going, water pump, all the electronics going at once. We should be good to go now that we're charging. We should be able to drive around a little bit without worry. There's still some stuff I got to figure out and sort out, but we're not going to be able to sort any of that until we start taking it down the street. So let's get this thing together. Maybe we'll pull it in the driveway, put it up on a trans brake. We still got to figure out some parts of the tune where when we're building boost, it's lagging a little bit. Just some timing and fuel we got to get figured out there to make happy with the torque converter that's in here. And it'll probably be within the next, I don't know, I'm hoping, my game plan is I'm hoping to go to a track rental next week where we should be laying down passes, and I should be learning how to adjust this boost ramp accordingly and how to make it all work. If we're gonna make that, there's still a lot of work to be done. Like I said, we can't do it without doors. I gotta pin that other side door. We gotta do the windows. We gotta finish the framing out. I gotta get the front end on and test how that's gonna fit. A lot of people were concerned, well, how's it gonna fit with the front of the door? I wasn't really concerned about that, mostly because these doors are fiberglass, which means if I need to, I can trim them down. I can take the flap disc and trim them and then make that gap nice where it needs to be, or if we have any issue. I had done that in different parts of the door anyway to make it fit and happy with the gap. So if we put the front end on, maybe I'll do that today. We'll take a look at what it looks like with the front end on, and if there's going to be any issue there, if I got to trim that stuff up. Because once I start driving this thing, I really want to stop doing the, flat disc, the cutting, all that kind of work. I want to be done with all of that. I still have to trim the window on that side a little bit. I screwed up there because I put the tin on first before I finished trimming it out. So hopefully I don't screw up the whole thing when I try to trim out the window over there with the tin on it. We're gonna find out. That's why I did it last night. I've been letting it cure. Probably gonna give it another day or so before I go ahead and hit it with the flap disc and trim out that plastic. Let's get this other window tinted and then on there, so that way we can keep making forward progress. after some quick trimming on the door, we got it to line back up and close. I just had to trim this top a little bit. And now what I'm gonna do, you see how this sticks out a little bit? So I'm gonna go ahead and weld the bar on the inside to the top, and I'm gonna pull it down a little bit, hopefully so it sucks this in, is what we're trying to do. Sucks that in, and then once that's in and welded, then we can epoxy. I'll show you. Let me open this thing. This is a two-hander opener. So what I'll do is I'll weld the bar up top here, right? And then I'll go ahead and pull it down here so it kind of sucks that in. And then once that's sucked in, we can epoxy this in the holes so it doesn't move anymore. And hopefully that should be one door complete. Now I still got to trim the other side and fit that up and then weld the bar, do the same thing. But let's get the welder over here, let's get this knocked out and keep cranking out the work so we can get this dang car done and I can start making tests. Well, we got both doors done. I screwed up a little bit, but learn from my mistakes. Learn from my mistakes. So the reason I screwed up here is because I knew I had to weld this up here, and I should have done it before the window was tinted and on and everything, but obviously it got a little too hot. I tried, you know, blowing air on it to try to keep it cool, but it is what it is, you know. It's that way on both sides. Some of the tint on the other side isn't holding up already. I don't know if it's because of that oil and the Lexan or what the deal is, but look, we're doing a home built hot rod. This is my first time. I'm not mad at it. From here, it looks great. You know, when you get up on it, you could see in the area that I welded, where was it? It was around here, you know, it got kind of hot and stuff. It is what it is. Right now we've got two working doors. They close, they latch, glass is tinted, those support bars are in nice, window sits where I want it in terms of flushness. Let me see here. Oh yeah, I didn't slam that one hard enough. It's weird because Lexan, you probably shouldn't be slamming around like that. The problem is with the way that I did the doors and everything, I think there's already a little bit of sag. Might want to try and adjust some of the front of that, but if you slam it, it fits in perfect. It fits in nice. It does what it's supposed to do. I'm not mad at it. For my first fiberglass doors ever, pretty dang good in my opinion. I think it looks pretty good. Tell me what you guys think in the comments, you know. For first fiberglass doors ever, do you think you could have done better? Maybe a little tip or trick if you've done them a bunch of times. What do you know that would help myself or somebody else out in the future? That would be greatly appreciated. But now that we've got this done, I still have to pin the other side door, and then I think we're going to pull this thing outside and put the front end on. I think it's time to go ahead and do that. We need to start getting some full picture stuff here. We need to start seeing it together, because I think, knock on wood, hopefully, knock knock, all of my stuff under the hood, engine kind of stuff is done. So we should be able to put the front end on now and not have to worry about taking it off to try to reach stuff or access stuff. Let's keep working. The game plan here, I just put some fresh plugs in, and I'm gonna fire this thing up and pull it out, and we're gonna do another test on the trans brake, and I'm also gonna test the bump. Now, we're not gonna do the smooth test on the bump. I'm just gonna make sure it just bumps on the brake. And I'm gonna data log it and send it over. For my next car, I am definitely spending the money and buying one of those Holley Dominators, because I don't know if anybody's figured it out yet, but the the Terminator seems to have constant problems connecting and downloading and all of that fun stuff. And I feel like it's a Terminator thing because I see in other people's videos and tuning videos and everything, they're always like, oh, yeah, getting the Terminator to connect. It just won't connect. Now, it's connecting and pulling right now, but if you guys know the fix for that, let me know. I think the fix is a Dominator or an HP or something like that. But yeah, I'm going to change the timing load, the timing retard on the brake, so that way we can hopefully build boost a little better. We're going to see what works. It's just going to take some playing with it. We're not going to, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to get it right every time, but we're going to take some playing and figuring it out. Sometimes it just needs different timing settings, different fueling, that kind of stuff. So let's get that sorted and we'll go from there. All right, we've got bump settings changed. We have got some timing figured out. Ah, gotcha. Oh, okay, I see what we're trying to do now. So we're getting this thing figured out. I guess now that let's see here. Are we hooked up? Are we communicating? Because I had to turn it off and on. Yep, we are good to go. So let's crank this bad boy up and pull it on out. We've got 13.6 volts with everything on. I can live with that. That was too much fun. Let's do that again. Doing that. Well, I think that's going to be about enough for today. We got the front end on, and this front end has always fit kind of wonky anyway. It definitely doesn't fit well with the doors. We're definitely going to have to do some trimming, but honestly I don't think we would have to do as much trimming if the front end itself just fit better. Now I am at the crossroads of, we've got to refit the front end to make this work, and even though Mallory did a killer job on it, I mean, it looks great, but I'm almost sort of kind of feeling like if we're gonna be refitting a front end, I kind of feel like grabbing that fiberglass one. What do you think?
I feel like
yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, it looks great, and the problem with the fiberglass one is it's a different front end. It's not the split bumper, it's not as cool, all that stuff. But now I'm just like, we got to do more fitment work, and if I'm going to do all the fitment work, we might as well make it for the fiberglass front end. That's going to be, I don't know, 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds lighter. I'm not sure how much lighter, but I know it'll be lighter, that's for sure. But the bump works. Did you guys see that bump though? I'll tell you guys what I did. So in the Holly, in the bump settings, you can do two things. You can do duty cycle, which is how we had it set up originally. That'll give you a nice, really smooth creep kind of bump. If you can get it figured out, there you got to play with it. So for testing purposes, just to test the bump on the brake, I decided to take it as a single hit on the button, and then it gives you a time. Well, the Holly time that's put into the system, like from the start, is it's 0.999 seconds or something, so it's almost a full second. And you're like, well, that doesn't sound like a lot of time. It doesn't, but think about if you go 140 60 foot 1 second, you're going, I don't know, 40 feet or something. That's a lot. Granted, it doesn't work the same way. So what I did was I turned the bump down. This is at like 0.25 seconds. You guys saw that bump action there, and I just kept hitting the button to kind of keep it moving forward. We might not do that soft creep. I kind of like that. The suspension didn't get too out of hand, anything else. So we'll see. Now I've got to load all this up back in the garage. I clean out the garage a little bit, clean up the floor, move everything back. We are in desperate need of some space. We might be fixing that soon. I don't know. There'll be a whole video about that coming here soon, about some of the problems and trials and tribulations we've been having here lately. But Mallory wants to put this hood on, so let's put this hood on, and then that way I'll get us a nice thumbnail picture for today's video. And I'm going to keep working, but that's going to be it for today's video. We are 7 days away from track rental, local track rental down at Del Mar, and I need to be making hits in 7 days. Mallory's over here manhandling hood by herself. Strong like ox. So I got to get to driving around. So what I'm going to do is get this stuff put away, and then we're going to move some stuff around. I'm thinking about where can I possibly bring this, you know, put it on the trailer and then bring it somewhere where I can, you know, drive around a little bit, maybe far out in the country where there's not going to be anyone around. We're not going to have any issues. And we've been having some issues lately. I'll explain that later. But I'm going to see what I can do to get that set up, so hopefully that way we can get some of the initial running, driving, tuning, that kind of stuff done. And once we get from there, then we'll get into some moderate boost hits and that kind of stuff. And after that, then we'll be full on, you know, let go of the button, see how it rips. Super excited. It's awesome to be able to bump this thing in. Like, I've never had a turbo car before. So pretty damn sweet. Still got some stuff in the tune to figure out. It's okay. We'll get it all figured out. Thank you guys, as always, for the support. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Do whatever it is you got to do. Let's keep this thing rolling. Let's keep it moving, because we are getting dangerously close to this thing's first drive and then its first passes. And that's what I'm really looking forward to. So I'm going to get this thing back in the garage, and that's going to be it for today. I'll see you guys next time.